And, like, real talk, if anyone from Coliseum actually watches this, which I doubt it, but if you do, I really don't care, because, like, you seriously don't know how to run a tournament. Like, okay, see, my big... I entered the Marvel tournament, me, Richard, Matt, and
Sean
Reed...
and Reed.
And Sean and Reed entered the Brawl singles tournament, and then me and Sean were in the... Brawl team tournament, which is why I wish he was still here. But like, okay, so for the Marvel tournament for the most part,
this is a shitty gift card.
yeah, it kind of is. It's just their business card with like $10. Like honestly, this is like the free business cards that they handed out there, and then they just take $10 to the back of it and call it a gift card. Anyway, so yeah, okay, so I entered the Marvel tournament, and like. First problem with that is like I don't play Marvel on a stick. I don't. I don't know how people can do that, and I'm not putting like stick players on blast or anything. I just choose not to because I can't. So I asked them, hey, can I use my own controller? And they said no. And their reasoning behind saying no is because some people play better on a fight or on a pad. Literally what they said to me is that, oh, we've seen people do some crazy combos on a pad, so we're just going to give everyone sticks to make it even. Okay. That makes logical sense. That makes... So, if someone that came in and they were capable of doing crazy combos on a stick...
That sounds great. Crazy combos on a stick.
Yeah, so...
I'm going to open a restaurant with that slogan.
And I mean...
Sorry.
Then on top of that... This tournament took like, it had to take at least 3 hours, which normally would be okay if it weren't for the fact that there were only 8 people in the fucking tournament.
Really?
Really.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
There were at best 8 people in the Marvel tournament, and it took them 3 hours minimum to work through it. Why? Because they were running a Call of Duty tournament at the same time, and that was more important than us.
And half of the people in the Marvel tournament, which was really only 4 people, but still, we're all over at the Call of Duty tournament, playing at the exact same time, so their 4 counterparts, who, I was in the game room with DJ, because I was sort of there to cheer him on, because I was kind of at the point where I was like, I don't really have anything better to do right now, the panel I want to go to isn't until later, so I'm going to go cheer my friend on in the game that he really loves, and plays really well, But yeah, it was like the match that was supposed to happen was between a guy who was on Call of Duty and a guy who didn't play Call of Duty, and it was like the Call of Duty matches were like best 2 out of 3, which the same with the Marvel matches. But Call of Duty matches take like 15 minutes apiece if they're not timed, and I don't think any of these were timed.
And I mean, like, okay, I get it. Like, there were more people in the Call of Duty tournament, so obviously they're going to put more priority on that. But like, my thing is like, you just pretty much forgot about us. To the point where, like, some people got kicked out of the tournament not because they were there, or not because they weren't there, not because they chose to drop out, but just because they were cutting people so they could just get the Marvel tournament over with. Because I kept going back and bothering them, like, hey, when's the next match? Who's playing next? What are we supposed to do? To the point where, like, it was supposed to be a double elimination tournament. They made it single elimination. They just didn't call some people because they were just trying to get the tournament over with. So... And like, literally, what's really funny is that as abysmally run as the fucking Marvel tournament was, the Brawl tournament was a billion times worse. To the point where, okay, number one, like Richard said earlier, they brought a fucking Wii that didn't have all the characters on it. Like the Wii had, they were still missing, who was it? It was Jigglypuff
and Wolf.
And so... I guess, like, I understand that maybe you did adventure mode and you didn't do all that, but, like, you couldn't just put out the call like other people said and said, hey, okay, we want to run a Brawl tournament. Does anyone have a Wii that we can borrow with all the characters unlocked? Like, was that really that hard? Or, you knew you were going to run a tournament, so let's go through and grind out these matches and unlock these last few characters.
It's actually really easy to do. If you go to the special brawl mode, you put on the stamina, you put on the quick, and you put on the flower, and then you drop one player, one of the two people. You'll have a player character, and then you'll also have a CPU, and you put one of them at 1 hit point. You get the 3, 2, 1, go. The match immediately ends because the flower does damage per second. So the match immediately starts. Both players drop 1 HP. If you've got one person on 1 HP, they're dead immediately, and the other person wins the match.
And my thing is like, it was clear to me that they unlock the characters by going through adventure mode, which is fine. But then that means, like, literally these last 3 characters, all you gotta do is go to their secret door and beat them right there. Like, it's really not that hard to unlock these last 3 characters. And it's really not that hard just to put up a notification on the freaking site that says, hey, we need one more Wii that has all of the characters unlocked. But that was the minimum of their problems. They set up 3 different TVs because Brawl had, like, it had to be at least like 30, 40 people in the Brawl tournament.
The original number when they made the last call for people to sign up for it.
Oh yeah, that's the other fucking thing, is that they made like last call like 3 different times. Okay, they set out original cutoff date or original cutoff time for when you could sign up for it, and then people came in like an hour later and said, hey, can I get in the Brawl tournament? Oh, sure! We'll just add you into the fucking Brawl tournament. 2 hours later, hey, can I get into the Brawl tournament even though you guys are in the 2nd round? Oh, sure! We'll just go ahead and throw you in there. It was like 5 hours after this event had actually started by the time they finally said, no, you can't get into the Brawl tournament. So...
But, as I was saying before, DJ validly, completely valid. I don't fault him for interrupting me at all, because that's a very good point. That was very 2 hour. Honestly, I could see maybe if you've started the tournament and you're 10 minutes in and someone shows up late and they're like, I really want to get into this Brawl tournament, and that'd be fine, because I mean, people can show up late to these things.
But when we're in the 2nd round
and you're still letting people in, no, don't. That's a no. If that's like one of the I'm sure there's a commandment table somewhere, and that's got to be one of the commandments for running gaming tournaments. But anyway, like DJ said, there were 3 TVs set up. What was I speaking about? I almost forgot.
The 3 TVs, and how like there were periods of time when only one TV was being used. Well, okay, I don't know what you were about to say, but this is...
Where one TV was being used, and the people who were running it were watching the used
I
TV.
remember.
Right.
I remember now. It was when we started the tournament, when they gave their last call. You understand why I say last call.
Right.
There were 29 people. They gave the last call. There was one person who said they hadn't signed up, so we had 30. So that should have been 15 matches. We had 3 televisions. That should have been 5 matches per television. Each match was set on an 8-minute time limit, which I don't understand at all.
Well, okay. To be fair to them, that's actually standard tournament rule.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't really play tournament brawl. So
right.
if any hardcore gamer who plays tournament brawl watches this, don't fault me on that, because I didn't know.
Right.
But yeah, they had them set up for 8 minutes each. So at the most, each television should have had 40 minutes of brawl per television.
Well, yeah, and then the losers bracket.
Per the original opening round, the original first round,
right,
where everybody was still on even ground, no one had lost yet, no one had won yet, that should have taken tops 40 minutes. Tops. Because 8 minutes per TV, 5 matches per television, because, 30 people, 30 people, 15 matches, 5 matches per television. There were 3 TVs. 5 times 8 is 40. Should have taken 40 minutes.
Right.
At the most, that's assuming each match went into the timeout, and none of one of them did. One match I saw the entire night timed out with 8 minutes.
And instead it took.
Well, first round took at least a good hour and a half. Mostly because, first round got extended after we got in the second round. But part of the reason it took forever is because the people who were running the tournament also happened to be in the tournament. So a lot of times they would be playing and they couldn't tell anyone else who should be playing next because they were too busy playing their match. And I want to tell you who took top 3. 3 people who worked for this company. 3 people who were running the tournament. Won top 3. So essentially, the money that they were handing out went right back to Coliseum Gaming. And that happened in the tag tournament too, which me and Sean otherwise got second in, but as far as we're concerned, we got first because you just don't do that. You don't enter your own tournament, especially when like there's a prize involved. And like we ran like a school video game club, and we were more efficient about running tournaments than this gaming company was. And so we were in this gaming room for it had to be at least 6 hours.
I got there. Like I said earlier, when Reed and I got out of our panel at 10, there was nothing to do. So we sat outside of the... We signed our names on the little sheet. There were 4 people at that time, including myself and Reed. There were 4 people signed up for this tournament at that time. We sat outside the room for about an hour just kind of conversing and chatting, which was really odd because Reed's generally not much of a chatter. But we sat outside and we talked a little bit. And then noon rolls around. Noon almost rolls around. It was, I guess we weren't out there for quite on an hour before we went into the room because the tournament was supposed to start at noon.
Right.
So then, an hour later, after we've unlocked all of the characters and the 2 Wiis that they brought in from outside that had all the characters unlocked, thank God.
Yeah, no kidding.
Were set up. An hour later at 1, the tournament actually kicked off. But after the tournament actually kicked off, we were in there just on the singles tournament for between 3 to maybe 4 hours.
And I mean, like, I could even get, like, so there are actually some tournaments that are run on games that don't have all the characters because they're just underutilized characters. Like, a lot of Marvel tournaments, they don't have Jill Valentine unlocked because no one uses Jill. But, like, you're talking about Toon Link and Wolf, who, like, Sean ran Wolf almost the entire tournament. So, like, I have no idea what he would have done or who he would have played as.
He would have played Samus.
Yeah,
that's the only other character that he's...
Well, he might have tried Snake too, because he does a little bit of Snake.
But I mean, I could understand not having... Well, there was actually... I would say I could understand not having Jigglypuff unlocked if there wasn't a guy who legitimately ran Jigglypuff the whole tournament, and he was actually really good. And it was really scary.
Pretty beastly Jigglypuff, so...
Now, honestly, in Brawl, if you play any character right, they're going to be a pretty good character.
Right.
There are some characters that are better than other characters, but if you play any character, honestly, if you're playing a standard league tournament with Meta Knight banned, which I have my own problems with that little decision, Olimar is actually considered the best character if you have a player who can play him right, because he's scary. A good Olimar player is scary as sin. I'm just going to say it's scary as shit.
Right.
Like, really. A good Olimar player can completely destroy you.
Although, if I remember correctly, right now, if I remember correctly, the second best character behind Meta Knight is supposed to be Diddy. Which, shoutouts to Reed, who apparently is like the best Diddy player in the entire freaking Midwest. I didn't even know this guy played Brawl, much less as well as he did.
Yeah, he was...
I think he got farther than all of us, right?
Yeah, he stayed in the... He didn't get knocked out of the tournament until he had to play again one of the people working for the company.
And that was who knocked me out too.
Yeah, who was running Reed was actually the match that knocked me out of the tournament. Right. It was only in second round, but he knocked me out of the tournament pretty handily. And he handled this guy this guy from the Coliseum,
right,
who was playing Sonic. and was pretty much going to town on everyone he challenged. And then Reed gets up there, and legitimately it goes into the third round, and the first two matches were close, but then the guy from the Coliseum puts on his try-hard face and is able to pretty much knock Reed out.
And I mean, like, I guess I will say this much: they are really good players.
Yes.
Like, they're clearly people who play Brawl on a professional level. It's just, again, you are running
a more professional level, at least than
right. You are running the tournament. You don't enter a tournament at your running, especially when you're giving away like gift cards as prizes, and you work for this company. You just don't do that, because then like everyone feels cheated at the end of the day, because all of the money, all of the prizes essentially goes back to that company. They pretty much didn't. They don't. There
was no net loss for the company.
So it's just,
which in the end is a good business model, but not a good tournament drum-up PR model.
Right. So like I said, I don't recommend entering any tournament with Coliseum Gaming unless you're going to
the Coliseum.
Right, the Coliseum.
I just want to make sure we distinguish that this is not Coliseum Gaming in Omaha, Nebraska.
Right.
I don't have much interaction with them, but from what I understand,
I don't have any beef with them.
They're a pretty reputable company. And they are tabletop. They are nothing to do with video games,
right.
which is what the Coliseum seems to be the forte in. They're video games. The Coliseum Gaming in Omaha has, as far as I know, and I hope to God, no real interaction with the Coliseum up here in Rapid City.
So yeah, in closing, because I think we lost Jesse, and we really ought to go ahead and go visit Crazy. Okay, we really ought to go to Crazy Horse, but I guess again, in closing, the con itself was decent, not really worth 9 hours. The Coliseum can't run a tournament to save their life, so I wouldn't recommend entering unless
she gave blood.
They gave blood. That is the one thing that I really actually want to say about this convention. And that was really admirable to me, because I guess I don't know the details behind it, and I don't really need to know, but two of the people who were initially like staff on this tournament, they died, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
The con.
Oh yeah, not the tournament, the con.
The con.
They died, and they had a blood drive in their honor. So I found that really admirable. And Kate gave blood. Other Emily gave blood. I didn't give blood because I'm afraid of like shit sticking in my arm. But so yeah, I really that was really admirable to me. So.
And that was really good. They should, if they want to, like, I see no problem with them saying making this blood drive an annual thing with their con, because that was really cool. And honestly, I know it's probably everybody says it at some point or another, but really they are short on the whole blood thing. People, more people need to donate than do currently.
Right. So in closing, SoDak, it wasn't for us, but I really don't want you guys to believe that we think, or that I think, or that any of us thought it was a bad con. It's just not us. The Coliseum, however, y'all can go fuck yourselves. So, in the end, signing off, goodbye. We're going to go visit Crazy Horse. Everyone wave at the camera. I'll see y'all in whatever I decide to make the next video. Goodbye.